Hi everybody, this is Shane R. Monroe and welcome. I decided to dig one of my favorite old toys out from in storage, and yes, it's right here. It is the Commodore SX-64. And some people, when you think of Commodore 64, you probably think of the traditional bread bin 64, which is what people have come to know and love, the beige box, if you will. And so yes, this is a Commodore 64, but it's not the one we're going to be looking at today. Let's stick that guy to the side. Instead, we're going to be looking at the SX-64. So the Commodore 64 was very popular. In fact, it was probably the most popular home computer of all time. At one point, it was estimated that the Commodore 64 was in one of every 3 homes in the United States. 1 in 3. Xbox, PlayStation, they can't even claim that, right? So the Commodore was a hugely popular machine. This one you've probably never seen, heard of, or even remotely recognized this as a Commodore 64. This is considered the executive. This is the laptop version of the Commodore 64, and it's big. In fact, let's take a closer look at the Commodore SX-64 right now.
The Commodore SX-64 was released in 1984 at the cost of $1,000 US. This 23-pound luggable computer was intended to be a portable or executive device designed to be the first full-color mobile computing solution. What does over $2,500 in today's money get you? It starts with an all-in-one build featuring a full Commodore 64 computer, 5-inch full-color monitor, a 1541 compatible disk drive, and onboard power source. Along with the internal components, the SX-64 features most popular external ports, such as I/O for a bigger screen monitor, another floppy drive, printer, and more. Notably missing from the lineup is the RF adapter for output to a standard TV and a dataset or cassette port. Both drop presumably because the unit includes a color monitor and disk drive included. The detachable keyboard clips onto the front or the top of the unit, not only making it look attractive, but also protecting the screen, drive, and panel. While not wireless, the keyboard departs from the standard bread bin C64 and feels smooth and professional and integrates well with the unit as a whole. Difficult to record on video, the 5-inch full-color screen looks a bit different than a standard Commodore 64 screen. Gone is the blue on blue, and it is replaced with a clean blue on white with higher contrast to give the smaller screen remarkably clear and easy to read text despite the size. Although it was made by Commodore, the SX-64 does have some compatibility issues with the entire lineup of the Commodore 64 software and hardware. This is due to changes inside the unit and the removal of ports such as the cassette port. Some disk-based copy protection may fail, and software that may have needed a dongle, such as 10th Frame Bowling and other titles from Access, obviously cannot run without a cracked copy of the title, removing the requirement. Despite not selling particularly well, the SX-64 has enjoyed a long 37-year life as a desired collectible item for enthusiasts and regularly commands hundreds of dollars on auction sites.
Quite the machine, right? It's heavy, it's bulky, but it's amazing. The Commodore 64, a monitor, a disk drive. We're gonna dig in this box over here, and I know that there's a 1541 disk drive in here. When you realize how much crap that they packed into this, well, admittedly very large box, you'll be impressed too. So let's just take a look at a couple of interesting factors about the C64, SX-64 rather in this case. So this, as I mentioned before, contains everything all in one unit. The floppy disk drive is here, included the color monitor, which is actually looks, I mean, listen, it's no LCD, but it's okay. There's definitely some stuff on the inside of the screen, which I'd have to pull this whole thing apart to get to clean out. And then over here, you have a whole bunch of little controls. You have volume control, color, brightness, tint. You can do all sorts of fun things with that, as well as horizontal and vertical hold. So that's kind of cool as well. And that just tucks away right in here. You have a little place to store your discs right here. And you might notice that it happens to be exactly the same size as a disk drive. That's by design. There is another version of the SX-64 that has a second floppy drive. So you have a Drive 8 and a Drive 9. And then, of course, you have a fully detachable keyboard, which is something that you wouldn't see again until the C128D, the Commodore 128D. This is actually in remarkably decent shape. You don't typically tend to find these with the original connector, nor do you tend to find them with a keyboard in quite as good of condition as it is. And when you transport this guy, it just clips right on here. Hard to do from this angle, right? And then the handle itself is built in as a stand. I can then take, as you saw in the earlier in the video, you can take that and just grab it and lug it with you. All right. So we already saw all the ports on the back. They're all the standard sorts of ports you would expect to see. And of course, it has a cartridge slot on top. I'm going to go ahead and shut it off and pull this cartridge out. This is the beloved Action Replay 5 cartridge. There's no extra label on here, so this could be a knockoff or a clone. But it has two little buttons on top. And this is a standard Commodore 64 cartridge. It fits in a Commodore 64 as well as into the SX-64. There's a reset button as well as a freeze button. And we might play with that later depending on how much time we've got. So that just sticks right in there. If we took that out and we powered it up, it would look a little bit different, but not a whole lot. It's weird waiting for the monitor to warm up. It's one of those things you sort of forget about in the old days. As you can see too, for those of you who are very accustomed to the Commodore 64 blue and blue screen, this is quite different, a much higher contrast with a white background with the blue lettering. I think it actually kind of looks better this way. But for those of you who are Commodore 64 purists, that probably bothers you a lot. But we're going to go ahead and shut this off and plug the cartridge back in. Because, well, listen, I never want a Commodore 64 running without an Action Replay cartridge in it. And so when you boot up, it gives you the Action Replay thing, and we can just go ahead and oops, of course I hit the wrong thing because I am here. Well, that's what the reset button is for. All right, so along with this beautiful piece of hardware and a handful of games for us to look at, we have, of course, the beloved TAC-2, which is many consider to be the greatest joystick of all time, especially in the 8-bit days. I even have the original box for 13 bucks this controller went for. And this is a standard old Atari 9-pin standard controller. Only these buttons both do the same thing. There's only one button on the Commodore 64. And the throw is practically nothing. There's like no throw on this controller at all, which is why it's so great. You don't have to like wrench it like you would a bat handle joystick. It's just nice and it moves very little movement necessary to make the connections. Maybe someday we'll open one of these. That'd be fun. I think they've done it on other channels already though. So that's the unit as a whole. How does it really work as a Commodore 64 though? We all know that clone products or compatible products, this isn't actually a Commodore product. Commodore themselves actually released this, but as with everything of this nature, it's just not 100% perfect. There's slight deviations and certain software, for example, may not work. The drive itself may have some compatibility problems with protection checks and things like that. Overall though, it's what you would consider like 99% compatible. So that's pretty cool. Now this unit is mostly working. In fact, it's all working. The keyboard, I believe that there's a short in this cable somewhere, which is why when I actually type on this keyboard, sometimes it doesn't work. I did see some interesting videos on YouTube regarding working with this keyboard and getting it cleaned up and working properly, and someday we'll do that as well. But for now, I just wanted you guys to see what this guy looked like in the loading process. We're also using the Action Replay cartridge, which gives us some shortcuts to starting up software, and it should give us a little performance boost in the disk loading as well. So in this case, all I have to do is hit F1 and hit enter, and it will go ahead and start the loading process, and then F7 to run. So what we have in here is, this is Rambo First Blood Part 2. That's right, based on the movie of the same name. Thunder Mountain, interesting company. These guys sort of redefined copy protection on the Commodore 64. I believe it was called Rapid Lock or V-Lock. They came up with sort of a new protection scheme. Ms. Pac-Man had it, a bunch of other games. And unfortunately, if I remember right, the V-Lock actually keeps fast loader cartridges from doing their job, which is why this will take 100 years to load. But in the meantime, let's see what other discs are in here while we're waiting. I can get my fat paws in here. So we have that guy. Also included, this is something also Commodore 64 people aren't used to seeing. Software, the original copies of software, not bootleg copies. Commodore 64 people were a fun lot, but we love to copy software. So we have here a double flipper. It's a Choplifter and David's Midnight Magic. We have 10th Frame Bowling, which of course was not from Spinnaker. But this game actually had a dongle protection. You actually got a piece of hardware with this game that you had to plug into the tape port of the Commodore 64. And that's the only way this game would run. If you tried to run it without it, no go. Of course, you could also defeat it with a paperclip. Forbidden Forest, of course, one of my all-time favorites, and as a bonus, tucked away inside was one of the very common instruction sheets. I love this stuff. This is like one of the original ones. This wasn't the one that came out for, this isn't the one that came out with other pack-ins. This was like the original one, which is really neat, from Cosme themselves. Racing Destruction Set, everybody's favorite, actually the original Electronic Arts. Which, by the way, a lot of people were wondering if what this meant. Yeah, I'm vamping a little bit, waiting for this to load. So, EA, Electronic Arts, EA, is there an O in the middle? EOA? Who knows? Well, it turns out there was a lot of speculation. This was before the internet, people. You got to give us a break here. We weren't as smart. We couldn't look anything up we wanted in 2 seconds. This actually represented 3 primitives: a cube, a sphere, and what's a primitive? A pyramid, right? Had to look at my son. He's taking math. Anyway, so that's what that actually stood for, a little secondary thing. Another Electronic... Listen, Electronic Arts, a lot of people don't like Electronic Arts now. They have some bad... Electronic Arts has some bad negative things around them. But back in the 8-bit days, Electronic Arts meant quality. You knew when you were buying an Electronic Arts game it was going to be amazing. This is Demon Stalkers, which is sort of a Gauntlet clone. And last but not least, at least in the stack that I have here, is Spy Hunter, which is easily one of the greatest ports ever for the Commodore 64. An amazing game, played it a ton. By the way, for those of you who complain on how long Call of Duty loads or the Call of Duty loading screen, this game is still loading. You got to go back and see some of the old stuff that we had to deal with when it came to loading. Yeah, this is still loading. I booted this disc before the show. Oh, it's doing its last little bit. I can hear it. All right, and there we go. Just in time, too, to be done with these discs. So the Commodore 64, of course, had an amazing synthesizer, and it produced some of the greatest music in 8-bit history. And this, I believe, was Rob Hubbard that did the music for, somebody will correct me in the comments, I'm sure, for Rambo First Blood. This doesn't look like much now. I know those of you who are watching this are like, dude, this is like nothing, but I assure you, this was state of the art at one point in time. All right, so an enter your initials sort of game. We will not enter our initials. But one of the things I loved so much about this game was the music. And it is, you guys know I can't play sideways like this, but for those of you who are remembering the Commodore 64, you remember this game very, very well. And many, many hours were blown on this game. Oh, hang on. No, that's my own knife. Ah, this is killing me. Hang on. At least I can move around now. You have the lecture thing, and then of course you had to use space bar to use your secondary weapon, as I recall. It was another key because we only had one button on the Commodore 64. Sometimes I just load the game to listen to the music. It's fantastic.
Hey, the lights keep glitching on it.
I know, and I apologize because this is, the raster display on here does not photograph well, and unfortunately that's a cross we have to bear. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I wanted you to see what it kind of looked like to play a game on here. The small screen was a small price to pay if you could take this with you to the hotel or with you on vacation. Let me turn that volume down a little bit. As great as the music is, it's right in my ear. The speakers are actually not too bad on here. It's totally playable. There's no headphone jack, so you like it or too bad. So that's sort of the overall operation of the Commodore SX-64. One of the things I was going to tell you about this action replay cartridge was, let me see if I can I make myself die? Can I just get dead here? Maybe not. It's really hard to see from this angle. Actually, the angle of the screen, I can actually see the screen, it's just I can only see part of it. You'd think there'd be more enemies in here, huh? Maybe I'm outside the game area. Maybe I was supposed to be in there. It's been a while. Like I said, just listen to the music. Who cares? So you could freeze the game while it was in mid gaming. Then you could do stuff. You could actually go in and turn off sprite collisions. You could view sprites. I don't know if this will actually end up working or not, but we could try it. What does it say for view sprites right there? Is it just V?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So you could actually go into the game and look at the graphics inside the game. Copy the graphics out of the game, rip music out of the game, all sorts of absolutely crazy stuff you could do with this cartridge. I miss being able to do stuff like that. And of course, as a good reset button, you can do that as well. Of course, it never hurts us to look at the old floppy disk, the 5 1/4 inch floppy disk, and it really is floppy, unlike floppy disks that really aren't. It was a different time, folks. It was a different period. This was the storage medium. Right now, my watch right now could hold like 500 of these discs. It's crazy how we have advanced in history. But there you go. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun this afternoon, break out the old machine. I cleaned her up, got her tidied up, and I just wanted to share this with you, share this moment with you. And I wanted to dig a Commodore 64 box because sometimes that's fun too. So now let's go ahead and I'm just going to shut this guy off. I'm going to pull the cartridge out and we'll take this thing and we'll put it back together for you. I'm going to unplug the power and the joystick. I'll move that guy to the side. And we'll show you how this thing goes back together. Well, we sort of talked about it already. All right, clicked it in. God, it's like give you a hernia. All right, tuck little things under there, release the 2 clips, as we showed earlier. Oh, I think one of them got stuck. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. And you can lock it in place, and now you're ready to carry it off with you. So I'm gonna.
Why would you want to carry that with you?
Because it was convenient.
That's not convenient.
I don't know how much that thing weighs, but it's a lot. All right, so we already saw the action replay. Let's see what other kind of nonsense is in this box. We saw the TAC 2 already. I'll put that guy away later. All right, so these are all interesting. These are called like the solid gold collections, and these essentially had like tons and tons of games included. Top Fuel Challenge, Motor Mania, High Noon. Actually, these are pretty good games. Aztec Challenge, Forbidden Forest, and they all came on these really crappily labeled. So this was like 15 bucks, right? And you got no real labeled discs. They all had crappy labels on them. You got some sort of a warranty card, but this wasn't what collectors wanted. This is what you got when you were poor. But this isn't what you wanted. You wanted the real deal, and I know there's some real deal stuff in there, so we'll take a look at that.
It says limited collector's edition.
Yeah, limited collector's my butt. So this is actually kind of cool. This was, first of all, it's very dirty. There's going to be comments. This was a carrier. This was like almost a little backpack that you would use to carry your Commodore stuff with you. It was licensed, and I believe this came with the SX-64. Inside, you could hold 2, and I have no idea what are on these discs, so this will be fun. You could hold 2 boxes of floppy disks. This one feels empty, which it is. I'm kind of excited. I don't remember what's in here.
Nothing.
Oh, there's something in this one, though. Oh. Oh, wow, check it out. A light pen. I did not even know I had this. This is crazy. This was a light pen, so you would plug this into your Commodore 64, and with the right software, you could actually touch the screen, push this button in, and draw on the screen. It sounds like, yeah, duh, now, but that's crazy. What else is in here? Some sort of an adapter, but what's here? Sears. Universal Merchandise. This was, what's the year? What's the date here? Come on, give me something here fun. 1990. November 17th, 1990. Do the math, Brian. What is it? 31 years?
1990? Yeah.
No, yeah, 31
Almost
years.
31 years.
Oh my God. And then what's on here? Hopefully it's nothing devious. Now look at this. Installation, your universal monitor kit. So that must have been what this was for, general merchandise. Huh. How cool is that, huh? I had no idea. I did not realize that I had a light pen for the Commodore 64. That's pretty cool. See what happens when you actually open these things up? All right, I'll put this all away later. along with my unusual adapter. Cartridge, Dig Dug for the Commodore 64. These were interesting. All of the Atari line had this very generic, and I think this was exactly how the Atari computer cartridges were for like the 5200. Yeah, there you go. You better look at that. New camera, folks, so we're still learning, so give us a break. So Dig Dug, which I remember being an okay port, but not amazing. Star Post from Fallout Games. So this was something I bought recently because Fallout Games is someplace local here. All right, anyway, Star Post was a great Commodore 64 original game, and it actually came out by Commodore. So these are the very standard Commodore formatted looking cartridges. Number Grabber, Shape Grabber, educational software from the Commodore 64. I don't know why I would have bought that, but hey, why not? Ms. Pac-Man from Atari Soft. So this was the cartridge version of Ms. Pac-Man versus the software version that I told you about Thunder Mountain releasing on disc. Again, in the standard Atari cartridge format. Some more cartridges here. Kickman. Like Kickman was sort of like Combat for the 2600. Everybody had Kickman for the Commodore 64. It wasn't a pack-in, but everyone had it anyway. Defender. I have a lot of these Atari cartridges. Defender, I don't recall being a great port. Some discs here. See if there's anything special. Print Shop. Anybody who grew up in the 80s knows all about Print Shop. Using your dot matrix printer, you can print banners. You probably saw it on the Goldbergs. I know it was featured in there. He used Print Shop to make these big banners. Family Tree, Melody Hall's Make, Sign, and Banners. This is obviously none of the software that I owned originally. Fisher Price, Learn to Spell, I Can Remember. Who knew there was so much software for the Commodore 64? Trio. I bet that's like a spreadsheet software package or something. Bulge, Battle for Antwerp. Reader Rabbit. Oh my God, this is what is all this educational crap? Get to the games. Ready for Letters, Sky Fighters. Oh, that sounds like a game. Nomad, the Space Pirate, Sesame Street. Here we go. Word Rider 128. So this is kind of interesting. So TimeWorks made a whole series of productivity software, and one of the neat things was on the Commodore 128 it would go into 80 column mode. So all this TimeWorks stuff all ran like in Commodore 128 mode, and it was it all had 80 columns, which is cool. Chess Champion. I think these might just be blanks. Know what a box of blank floppy disks is going for? Nothing. Lots of blank floppies. Actually, there's a good use for these things. Less wear and tear. The magnetic media is probably intact. Maybe we'll open one up so you guys can see what's inside of it. Do you want to do that? Sure. My cameraman says he wants to see it, so we're going to sacrifice. This one says it's bad, so we'll make this a multi-purpose thing. So, floppy disks, they say these are incredibly fragile. Don't put them near microwaves. Don't put them near magnets. Don't leave them out of their jackets. Bad things can happen. And so, essentially how these things work, you would stick this in the floppy drive, these little heads would engage the center thing, and it would start spinning the media that's inside. Read-write heads would read and write. Oh, I know, does that make the hair stand up on the back of your neck watching me touch the window? Never touch the window. See, look at that. All the instructions are on the back of what not to do. Is that coming in? Am I coming in clear?
If it doesn't see your face, I can focus it.
All right, so these are all the things you're not supposed to do, and I just did, I think, most of them. So, so essentially these things would spin, and the disc heads would read. Listen, like 8-Bit Guy, there's a bunch of other good channels that that'll tell you exactly how this all breaks down. I always was curious, and at one point in time, I actually ripped one of these apart myself to see what's inside, and we're going to do it right now. Yes, let's look inside. Well, it's not. I'm manhandling it quite a bit. So let's take a look at what's inside the 5 1/4 inch floppy disk.
Nothing.
Ta-da! And there it is. Look at that. So here's the protective case that's got lots of fuzz inside to try to keep the media clean. And this is it. This is what holds software. This is what holds information. Just a magnetic coated piece of nothing.
How does it hold information? It's just...
Watch a different video for that. I could spend all day talking about how magnetic disks work,
Yeah,
but other people have done that and done it better than I could possibly. Did I? Nice. All right, let's see what else is in here. Enough of the history lessons. Monday Night Football from ABC. So this is actually, let's look, I don't know if I've actually opened this. Some of this stuff I picked up at yard sales. Look at that. Commodore 64. This is back when games actually came with instruction manuals. Pretty decent instruction manual too. Instructions for the Commodore 64. Look at that. Here's your warranty card. My computer is a Commodore 64 128. There's just a checkbox. It doesn't ask you which one you have. All right. Let me put this back in the box. I don't know if I've ever actually played this, but look at the hot babes on the back of that box. Woo, doggy.
If that's your opinion of hot, you have.
It's a joke. Stop it. It's a joke.
Very low.
What's this? The Computer Artist Customer Reference Guide for Oki Data Printer. Hey, look at this. Printouts from directory listings of floppy disks. RGB High Resolution Color Monitor Manual from TW Casper Corporation. Some sort of a 9-pin connector interface cable box. Hess Writer 64. Intrex 5 monitor cable. A lot of people cut the backs off of the software here. This is interesting. Here's more of that TimeWorks stuff, the Money Manager. Joystick instruction manual, the back of the Barbie. And more stuff. Hey, here's the Defender instruction book, the back of a whole bunch of other crap, Home Banker. Hey, look at this. It's Radar Rat Race from the Commodore line. That's interesting. I don't remember there being an actual manual like that. How cool. Radar Rat. Hey, what's this? Oh, this is Demon Stalkers. Nice. This is the actual instruction booklet for Demon Stalkers. Fast load cartridge instructions. Look at this. Kickman, Clowns, Karateka. Let's not get into that. All right, and then there's a whole bunch of other, this is all of nonsensical, non-interesting stuff, more disc listings. Hey, look at this. Somebody is anal like me and actually created a diagram of their entire Commodore 64 computer system, along with all of their TVs, computers. It's definitely not mine. The Super Printer Utility software. Look at this. It's part of a keyboard overlay. These things used to stick on the top of your keyboard to give you shortcuts and key commands. That's fun. Hey, it's Andrew Fisher's Commodore 64 book. Yeah, I actually know this guy. Look at this. This is gorgeous, right? Look at this. This is a tabletop version, a coffee table game book talking about tons and tons of beautiful Commodore 64 games, full color, write-up screens. Beautiful book. If you don't have one of these, you should probably get one. I'll show you the backside. Andrew Fisher. Great stuff. I was wondering where this went. Now I know. It'll probably end up going up there. What else have I got in this box? Super Huey. Super Huey instruction booklet. Hey, look at this. What's this? This looks like a fold-out something or another. Ooh. Probably seen. Yeah, this thing is a little more delicate than I thought.
I wouldn't open it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, it's just sitting in the box.
Oh, it's
Whoa.
already ripped.
It's already started to rip, but that's kind of cool. Look at that. This is an Atari. Just an Atari. Atari Advantage. Oh, here we go. On the back. So this was some sort of a pack-in catalog type thing. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Ripping.
Night Mission Pinball, fantastic game on the Commodore 64. Raid on Bungling Bay. This is cool, actually comes with a map. This is back when stuff actually came with stuff. Brown Bag Software, the word processor and database manager. Look at that. Disc, big giant manual. Hey, what's this? Hang on. Apple version, Commodore version. Yeah, somebody actually ran their business off of this piece of software. Just blows me away. Radar Rat Race. Well, we saw the manual. Now we have the thing. Hey, look at this. It's another
Collector.
It's the same one. Guess I got two. Not even gonna open that one.
It's for collectors.
It's for collectors. What else is in here? Okay, hang on a second. Wait a minute. Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator. Great game on the. It's not supposed to do that. Oh, it's been broken. What a great game. It's great on almost every platform that this game comes out on. They do such a good job. And here, let's take this out. This is the actual, this is the Commodore 1541 disk drive. This is what runs these disks on the Commodore 64. It's huge, it's big. And this is one of the things that's built into that SX-64 we saw earlier. All right, so we looked at the 1541. This has actually been modified. So there's a little card that I have that plugs into a port on your computer. So you can plug this into that card and then you can read discs off of here. I was kind of wondering where that went. I have a few of these drives running around. Choplifter, very nice. Great Commodore 64 game. These are Folios. These were the way that everybody wanted to get their games. They look like little record covers. Electronic Arts, I believe, started this whole thing. And these are just, they're gorgeous pieces of art, these things. They have the discs inside with the little slot. Usually, sometimes they tri-fold. They'll have all these extra goodies inside of them. Look at this, like Heart of Africa. Beautiful, beautiful case. It's got stuff coming out of it. But it's just, it comes with the full maps. It's just, this is a lost thing. Gateway to Apshai, amazing game. 7 Cities of Gold. Easily one of the most recognizable games on the Commodore 64. Beautiful intro. Beautiful folio. I'm trying to think, do I not, I must have this on my wall somewhere. Do I have 7 Cities of Gold? I'm just pretty sure that I did. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, so this is my backup version of 7 Cities of Gold. I actually have it. So these are neat. These are neat. There's a football one. Hey, yeah, right on cue once more. What's in here? Look at this. Write Protect labels. Boy, some of you guys are going, I don't know what you're talking about, Shane, but it looks cool. Disc spacers, disc labels. These were all like, everybody that had a computer back in the day had these things. These were just the way it was. What's in here? Basic interface sub stuff, just more documentation. Somebody thought it'd be fun to keep. Connecting the Sidewinder Precision Pro. Wow, this must be when they went to the PC. That's an old Microsoft controller. Here we go. Microsoft Word function key templates. This went over your function keys. This is weird. Somebody has some PC stuff in here too. Fast load. What's this? Master of Magic. Fast load, GFL Championship Football. These guys always did good stuff too. GameStar. That's another neat one. We're not going to open that though. Still too much crap in here to dig, and I want to get this over with. My son, my cameraman's going, yeah, we're going to get this over with. Seawolf. Hey, what's this? Another fold out.
Not a fun.
Gorbachev. Here, this is Mikhail Gorbachev what is this?
Football.
Power Play Hockey.
Hockey.
It's from Electronic Arts. Yeah, interesting.
Russian symbol.
It was a Pro Golf. Oh, look at this. Look at this. The actual Gateway to Apshai instruction booklet. I didn't even know I had that. That's cool. Techno Cop. Wait a minute. This isn't for the C64. Oh, I guess they did make a C64 version. I thought it was on the Amiga. The Pit. Congo Bongo. Lazarian. Here's that star post I was telling you about. Hey, Rambo First Blood Part 2. Oh, look at this. And here's the actual SX-64 instruction manual. I actually still have this. It tells you how to use everything and all the different stuff. That is awesome. Awesome. Tooth Invaders, Shape Grabber, all that other crap we were looking at earlier. Oh, now we're talking some awesome stuff. Well, maybe I'll save that one for last. What's this? Ugh. This is a 1571 floppy drive. So I know what you're thinking. First of all, it's dusty. It's got crap falling off of it. So this was the enhanced version of the 1541 disk drive that we had earlier. It is smaller, lighter, but you wouldn't really know it by looking at it. And listen, people like the 8-Bit Guy and Retro Recipes, they've all done great stuff on these drives. So I don't want to go over the same territory, but these are interesting drives. This was sort of a re-envisioning of the look when the Commodore 128 came out. They were trying to get rid of the beige box. What else do I have in here? What is this? The 1541-2, which is another attempt. Boy, this one's seen better days. This is another attempt to streamline and make a better floppy drive. And as you can see, bigger, smaller, you know, they were trying to come along with it. And this one also had some interesting features, but again, other people have done better discussions of that than I have. Sixth Sense. I would like to take a moment and talk about Sixth Sense because this means a ton to me. So back in the day, way before the internet, there was a thing called bulletin board systems where you would use your computer and your phone line. In some cases, you actually picked up your phone and dialed this number. And then when you heard the tone, you plugged it into the computer real fast. And for the next hour, you would sit there and read messages that people have posted there, reply to said messages, log off, and wait for other people to call and respond to those messages. That's how we did. That was instant messaging back then, and it sometimes could take 48 hours before you could get something. But Sixth Sense was revolutionary. It did so many new things with the software that was available to do those sorts of communications. And it did a lot of cutting edge stuff. And this was one of those things that was very expensive. It was like $80, I think, at the time. And I don't know what that is in today's money, but it's a lot. So I never owned a copy of this. I pirated it like a lot of other people did. And at some point in my life, I decided to own a lot of this stuff that I pirated as a kid. I'd made illegal copies of. And Sixth Sense was something that I'd always wanted to get my hands on. And I finally did get my hands on an original copy of Sixth Sense along with the book. And a lot of interesting things in my life, which I won't talk about here, but a lot of interesting things that happened in my life as a teenager happened because of this software. So it always means something to me. Box is empty, cuz that means the video's over.
I heard something in there.
Well, there's a little... Oh, and there's another copy of Radar Rat Race, which apparently is also like the combat of the Commodore 64, and then some piece of plastic. All right, well, listen, we've had a lot of fun here today. We looked at the SX-64. We looked at all this cool stuff that I got in a blind box. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Listen, if you like this sort of thing, don't worry, we'll get back to our regular Valheim and everything else, but every now and then we have to go back to the past. I'm Shane Armenro. Don't forget, hey, like the video, subscribe, hit the little bell. You know, my cameraman's going blah, 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 do all that same crap that you say at the end of all these videos. But listen, it helps out. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, and that's because you guys are watching. You guys are making this possible, and you guys are enjoying the videos. So please, yeah, woo. So please continue to do so. We thank you so much for watching. We really enjoyed putting this stuff together for you. I'm Shane Armenro, and until next time, take it easy, everybody.